And here we go from Columbus. Ohio State, the 2 seed, and the Big Ten regular season champs control the tip. And both coaches told us turnovers would be key in this game. Maine does not turn it over offensively, and Ohio State, one of the best in the country at turning you over, as Cody McMahon is on the board.
As soon as the ball goes through the rim, 4 different white jerseys turn around and get ready to pick up full court. Ohio State will throw a bunch of different looks, but the press, the key is trying to get it to the center of the floor to try to break that press.
It'll be Maine basketball. And their coach, Amy Vachon, told us, listen, if we turn it over today against Ohio State, let's just make sure it's not live ball turnovers, even if we get 10-second violations in the backcourt.
Ohio State football has one of the best secondaries in the country. So is Cody McMahon, that secondary line of the press. They get a lot of pick sixes off of it.
Inside to Adriana Smith, had it ripped away by Celeste Taylor, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year this season.
Maine's playing a zone. A lot of that is because Ohio State has that size advantage. Maine also needs to make sure they can get to spots quickly and make sure Ohio State can't get to that high post area.
There is Jason Sheldon. Tapped into the hands of Mikola Shakova, who puts it in.
Second chance opportunities are going to be huge for the Buckeyes to just finish plays, but Maine has to make sure they put a body on someone and box out Ohio State so they don't have that position.
Almost a turnover ahead to Smith, who was last year's America East Conference Player of the Year. So the last 3 players of the year in the America East Conference play for this Maine Black Bears team.
They have experience together, which is huge when you get to a venue in a game like this where there's a lot of different factors at play.
Rockwood cans a 3.
Great ball movement by Maine. They're staying patient. Ohio State's press has not rushed them on the offensive end in the half court. Nice job getting multiple touches on that play by Maine.
Inside to McMahon. Honorable mention All-American, first team All-Big Ten.
That's a good job by Smith, giving McMahon a step so she can't beat her off the dribble completely, but stays right there, making her uncomfortable.
Rockwood again from distance. 81% of her career field goal attempts have been from beyond the arc. She is a threat from beyond the arc today. Celeste Taylor was fouled as a 3-point shooter by Sarah Talon.
Paint touches lead to open 3-pointers. 1, 2, 3 white jerseys got into the paint. Then the extra pass led to the wide open 3. Then in transition, Rockwood just gets spotted up. Shoulder squared, feet set, lets that thing fly like all good shooters know how to.
Well, this is a Maine team, Megan, that has played 3 tight games against NCAA tournament teams this year. And remember, they played Indiana at home, another team out of the Big Ten, and had a chance with 5 minutes left in that game to come away with the win. Ball just didn't bounce their way in the end. Maine
has so much experience on their team, and everyone has a high basketball IQ in addition to that ability to shoot threes. Already, Maine's not getting too sped up by Ohio State's press. That's going to be key to maintain throughout the next 4 quarters.
It's an Ohio State team that forces 21 turnovers per game. That is top 10 in the country. Against a Maine team that doesn't have a true point guard. Ann Simon running the point primarily for the first time in her career this year as Smith lost it out of bounds.
Ohio State's press is so dangerous because they understand how to cut down angles in the trap. Taylor theory comes over Celeste Taylor. It's flustering as a player to have multiple jerseys coming at you, jumping, cutting down your angles. And Ohio State's guards are big, so it's hard to see over them and try to make that pass.
Amy Vachon told us all the different defenses we've seen this year, both in the America East and non-con. Nothing prepared us for what we'll see today against Ohio State, as Taylor Theory is on the board, playing with a hand injury suffered after the Big Ten tournament. that's just an unforced turnover, giving it back to Ohio State.
You see Adriana Smith just telling her teammates, slow down, calm down, take a breath. Once Maine's able to break that press and get into the half court, they have to continue moving the ball, reversing it, and forcing Ohio State's defense to shift. They've gotten open shots when they can get the defense to move.
3 turnovers to start the game for Maine. Taylor zips it inside, and Cody McMahon, a top 5 finalist for the Cheryl Miller Award.
McMahon is 6 feet tall, but she plays like she's 6'5" sometimes. Just right back behind that zone, rather. She's finding the gaps and getting open looks.
7-0 Buckeye run.
Ooh.
Stopped by Ann Simon.
How about the pass from Smith as well, leading Simon perfectly to the basket. That's tough to start when you stop, rather, when you cut that hard.
Taylor. Theory had it picked off by Smith. And into the hands of Ann Simon. First appearance in the NCAA tournament for Maine since 2019. And it'll go back to Ohio State. So what you've got here is a team in Ohio State that returns most of its core from a run to the Elite Eight against a Maine team with a bunch of players who've never been on this stage before.
The key is how much have you played together. Those minutes together on the floor, that's where you build the trust and chemistry. And Maine has a lot of that right now, even though they haven't played in the tournament together.
4 upperclassmen in this Maine starting lineup. Smith on the kick out. Rockwood, her 3rd triple, and we're tied at 11.
Smith is getting into the paint at ease, and it's forcing Ohio State to drop defensively and leading to wide open shots from beyond the arc.
McMahon tries a 3.
Ohio State has to move the ball a little faster against Maine's zone. They don't have to move very much defensively. There's no shifting happening.
Amy Vachon told us if this game is played in the half court, we feel like that favors us.
They want to slow it down. The Buckeyes would love to make this a track meet. That pace favors them.
Smith a 3. From downtown. 4th 3 of the first quarter for the Black Bears.
The spacing is elite right now from Maine. Ohio State's being forced to guard a ton of room right now.
Sheldon. Her first 3 off the mark. Offensive board by Taylor Theory.
Theory is so sneaky underneath the basket. She is elite at finishing plays. And we finally get a whistle. I know these players are tired waiting for that media timeout to go. And just like that, we have ourselves a ball game. How about Ann Simon getting to the rim?
Let's go back to 1999. The Maine Black Bears and the Stanford Cardinal doing battle in the NCAA tournament. Maine comes away with their first and only NCAA tournament win, 60-58. A dog pile on the floor. Guess who was at the bottom of that? Amy Vachon, the 1999 starting point guard for the Maine Black Bears when they took down Stanford.
One of the most memorable experiences for Coach Vachon, and she's come in not only playing for Maine, but has done a great job as the head coach now, continuing that success. And this is a team that truly believes they can win a game in the NCAA tournament. Why not us, is that mentality they have.
Well, they are still perfect from 3, Megan, to start the game. 5 for 5. Ohio State 0 for 3. That has been the difference in a rejection by Celeste Taylor, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year.
She's a finalist for Naismith Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. She can time blocks up perfectly, and she gets off of Simon's shoulder just a little bit to give her the space to get the shot off. Then boom, not today.
Rockwood has already pulled the trigger 3 times. Simon did not beat the shot clock And it'll go back to Ohio State.
I'd love to know what Coach McGuff said to his team during that timeout, because this is the most locked in defensively I've seen them in a long time. Over the last month of calling their games, they are on another level right now, trying to make the right communication moves defensively.
Ricky Harris just checked into the game, wearing number 1 for Ohio State. Back to Taylor. And the first 3 of the game for the Buckeyes gives Ohio State the lead.
If Ohio State can knock down some threes against this Maine zone, it's going to open up more on the inside for them to get some work.
Well, before that made 3, 10 of their 13 points had come in the paint.
And simply from using their size in the paint behind the zone to get layups.
Harris with the pick. And fouled by Olivia Rockwood.
Celeste Taylor making herself available. Maine just gets caught up ball watching within the zone. Taylor sneaks to that corner. It's hard for Celeste Taylor to sneak around anywhere on the floor because she's pretty high on the scouting report, highlighted as to what her ability is, not just defensively, but offensively. That game's really underrated. She's been able to knock down that 3 and just get more comfortable in Ohio State's system over the course of this season.
Kevin McGuff told us she has spent a lot of extra time in the film room with him and their assistants working on her offensive game. Inside to Parks. Smith. Back out to Rockwood. Already has 9 points in the game. Back to Smith. And a foul against Ann Simon will give it back to the Buckeyes.
Audie Smith wants to pick and pop. That is what she excels at. Ohio State has to do a better job communicating on that dribble handoff and making sure they don't send 2 with the ball. Smith is always a viable option for Maine on the pop.
And the first points of the game for the 3rd leading scorer in the Big Ten this year, J.C. Sheldon. Averaged over 18 points per game.
What makes J.C. Sheldon so special is she scores and boom, right away, she turns around ready to play defense. Like her mind is constantly on to the next thing. She never celebrates a bucket.
Cody McMahon calls J.C. Sheldon the voice of reason. Meanwhile, the 7th turnover for Maine. For the 4th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships.
I'm so excited for this tournament, Matt. This is the most parity we have seen in a long time in women's basketball. The talent from top to bottom is absolutely elite. Are you kidding me?
McMahon is elite in the paint.
She looks like Superman, just going in with a cape on her back, finishing over 2 people.
Well, she was tracking that ball too, as Simon just turned around in the nick of time. 9-0 Buckeye run here.
Ooh.
Smith, fadeaway jumper, good.
Off of 1 foot, looking a little Emma Mieseman-esque if you're watching the WNBA with that European flair, even though Smith is American.
Oh, J.C. Sheldon at the buzzer. Puts it in. 22-16 lead for the 2 seed Buckeyes here in Columbus.
J.C. Sheldon, one of the best guards in the country, making every smart move in the book, slicing, dicing, finishing in traffic. It's March Madness, baby. Let's go. Sheldon walks into the shot. She gets stopped by everybody. She is the true mayor. She doesn't miss games here, and she is somebody who has been so influential, not just in JC's life, but this whole entire Ohio State team. Talk about Emmy and the impact she's had, and what she's done for this team goes way beyond the court.
Well, it's a big reason why J.C. Sheldon stayed home. Grew up in Dublin, Ohio. Obviously, you heard her talk about how Emmy is her best friend, really close with her parents, Dwayne and Laura as well, and wanted to be at Ohio State to remain close to her family. And Kevin McGuff joked after senior night that he hopes Emmy will stick around the program even though JC's graduating.
Coach McGuff might have to put Emmy on staff or something, you know. Maybe get her an NIL deal here and
There you
there.
go. Already 7 turnovers in the game for a Maine team that is averaging 12 per game. Top 15 in the country in fewest assists.
Maine's actually done a pretty good job of breaking Ohio State's press. Not too many of those turnovers have come from the press, but it's when they get into the half court, they have to continue settling down, getting reversals, and running offense.
Smith picked off by Celeste Taylor. And goes coast to coast, drawing the second foul on Ann Simon.
Ohio State's such a dangerous defensive team because of that press. Then when they get back into the half court, Celeste Taylor anticipates at such a high level. So if you bring that ball down to the ground, she swipes you and is on the other end with a layup.
Second foul on the 2-time America East Player of the Year, Ann Simon. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship first round continues today on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. For more information on tournament times and networks, go to ncaa.com. As we have come to expect with March Madness, a great day one on the men's side of this tournament. Oakland beating Kentucky last night. 14 seed takes down a 3 seed. But it goes back to what you said, Megan. There's so much more parity, both in the men's game and in the women's game this year.
That's what makes watching the tournament so fun, is finding those Cinderella stories in the lower seeds that have huge upsets.
Bournemouth almost had it picked off. Simon stays in the game with 2 fouls. Maine hit 4 threes early and led at one point in this game. It's been a 12-2 Buckeye run, though, since. Smith almost ripped by Taylor.
Great defensive possession by Ohio State, rotating and making sure they got out to shooters.
That's a 3 from Ricky Harris. Timeout, Maine.
Ohio State hitting transition threes, the hardest shot to guard in basketball. Ricky Harris making him pay. And just like that, Ohio State doing a great job getting to the help side, communicating, and it all starts with Celeste Taylor.
You talked about Cody McMahon being a great, almost cornerback. In reference to Ohio State's really good secondary, Celeste Taylor's like the free safety, just roaming all over the place on the back end of the defense.
I'm telling you, they got to make sure Ryan Day isn't in the building. He might try to take some of these players and put them on his defense.
Simon won't get the 3 off because an offensive foul was drawn by Ricky Harris. And now it's time for Get More, brought to you by Geico. And Celeste Taylor, man, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year this year, Megan. Last year was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year at Duke.
I love when you hear her talk about playing defense. She's like, you know, offense is fun and all, and I know that's why everybody wants to play basketball, but I love playing defense. I love being able to catch people off guard. She does a great job of reading the eyes and the core of whoever she's guarding. So when you go to move and take it off the dribble, your core is the first thing that moves. That's how she's able to stay in front, and then reading the eyes allows her to anticipate stealing the ball.
Some of it is instinct, right? And that's what Kevin McGuff said. She just has great instincts, but beyond that, Megan, her commitment, every defensive possession is unlike anything Kevin McGuff has seen at Ohio State.
Taylor says she loves for her defense to dictate her offense, and not many players think like that, Matt. I can tell you from experience. I hated playing defense. Not many people like it.
There's no way you like defending.
Heck no.
You were a catch and shoot. Take the D out of 3 and D. Just shoot threes.
Just 3, yeah. You know, if I could play from three-point line to three-point line, don't make me run 94 feet, Matt.
Ohio State right now on a 15-2 run. That is ended by Ann Simon.
Simon did a great job not going fully to the rim because Ricky Harris was waiting right there to take a charge. She pulled up just before to avoid the contact. Simon with just 4 points to start the game.
averaging 19 a game this year. Led the America East Conference. His theory was bumped by Caroline Bornman.
Ohio State has done a better job in this second quarter getting the ball to the high post. In Maine zone, whether they're mixing it up in man or zone, regardless, Ohio State at the high post can then attack and forces the defense to get out of rhythm and out of position.
There is Madison Green on the floor with Ricky Harris. Sheldon a three. Got it.
Beautiful ball movement by the Buckeyes. The skip pass forces the defense to move. Sheldon had all day to drink a cup of coffee and hit that shot.
Kevin McGuff wanted an over and back there. Won't get the call. And Simon settles the offense. 11-point Buckeye lead. At one point they trailed 14-11 in this game.
Ooh. Simon's quick off the dribble too.
Green at three. Mikolashikova on the second chance draws a foul on Smith, and that is the second on Rockwood.
And you see right there, where's the ball caught by Rockwood? Oh, that should be an over the back. She caught it technically in the back court.
Rebecca Mikolashikova at the free throw line for Ohio State. The graduate from Slovakia grew up almost 5,000 miles away from Columbus. Winner of this game gets the winner of our second game today in Columbus between Duke and Richmond, a rematch of the season opener in Durham.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Talking to Coach Russell, he's like, I didn't think of all the teams we'd play Duke, but here we are getting ready to rock for the next game.
Ten-second count coming into play here. And they do not get it over. And Simon trying to argue her case.
Ohio State, I mean, so many jerseys constantly around. You see as the ball is in the air, that 10-second count happens. It gets called.
11 turnovers now for a Maine team that averages 12 per game. And we knew the turnover battle would be key in talking to both coaches. So far, Ohio State winning that effort.
Wow.
Theory drew a foul on Bornman. And that is number 2 on Bornman. So now 3 Maine Black Bears with 2 fouls.
Ohio State's using their size down low in the paint to make Maine pay. But this pass is so hard to make, by the way, because you have to get it high enough to where only Taylor Theory can catch it. That's like an alley-oop pass, essentially. Theory does a great job going up, but J.C. Sheldon timed that perfectly.
Well, everybody talks so much about J.C. Sheldon's scoring ability, and why not? She was top 3 in a really competitive Big Ten conference in scoring. But Megan, there's so much more to her game.
She does a great job, not only offensively, as you mentioned, but defensively as well. When you talk to WNBA scouts, they love her IQ and her motor. J.C. Sheldon is the most in-shape basketball player I have ever seen. She never gets tired. She is constantly ready to boom, flip it to defense. Right there, you see her finish, boom, turn around, she's right there ready to go.
She is 1 point shy of 2,000 in her Buckeye career. No doubt we'll be talking about that maybe in a couple of minutes.
I was gonna say, how much time you got?
Rockwood had it rejected by Theory. Home run pass from Mikolashikova. And an 8-0 Ohio State run.
It's getting done defensively right now. The Buckeyes had not allowed Maine to have a half-court possession in a long time, and they are scrambling like crazy trying to break this press. Theory,
second opportunity, drew a foul, and that is the second on Adriana Smith.
Ohio State getting things going with their defense, turning it into great offense. Taylor Theory at the rim, having herself an afternoon.
Thanks, ladies. Welcome back to Columbus, where Ohio State is on an extended 24-4 run. Matt Schumacher, Megan McEwen with you. And at one point in this game, Megan, Ohio State trailed 14-11. But you referenced them turning up the heat defensively. We've seen that the rest of the first half.
After the first media timeout, I don't know what Kevin McGuff said, but it's worked because Ohio State has been absolutely suffocating with their press, and they've been able to score off of it quickly.
14 Ohio State points off turnovers. And early in the game, the 3-ball was the great equalizer for Maine. They were 4 for 4 to start. They've since gone 0 for 4. But the problem more so has been their inability to get open threes.
Maine got open threes to start the game out because they broke the press and they took their time in the half court. Now they're playing so rushed and out of control because Ohio State's press has totally cranked up the pace.
Tough shot from Simon. And last touch by Maine.
The suffocating press has come in. Everybody rotates when the ball is in the air, and that's why Ohio State is elite at creating the turnovers, getting steals off of it. As soon as the ball is up, everybody in the back line and the front line are moving, so you cannot beat it if you pass it too slow. You have to move that thing with a little bit of heat.
Top 10 in the country in turnovers forced per game. Ohio State averaging right around 21. They have the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year in Celeste Taylor, of course. But you could make the argument for a couple of other players on this roster to have won that award as well.
The way that J.C. Sheldon defends at a high level. Taylor Theory is always in the right place at the right time. Such an underrated player. Her game is so blue collar. She just puts her hard hat on, goes to work every day. But she's always in the right spot.
One of 5 starters is Theory to be recognized by the Big Ten this year with some sort of award. Run out for Sheldon, counted in the foul for the All-American.
J.C. Sheldon's ability to finish hard shots makes her such a special player. Coming out in transition, Emmy loves it, some sister love. She's got more than 2,000 points now, and she does it with some flair and finesse. I mean, that thing barely touched the backboard. She threw it up, taking the contact, but still found a way to get into the center of the square. Great shot by J.C. Sheldon. Becomes the 8th player in OSU history to reach 2,000 points. We might see number 4 hanging in the rafters in a few years. That is not outside the realm of possibility. Maine without a point in the last 4 minutes. Maine has not been able to get any sort of offensive rhythm going. And right now, Ann Simon's getting to the rim, but she's so off balance because the help side's coming over. Smith, really tough take against Theory, floats it in. Smith is so strong, even when she gets hit, she still keeps her shoulder square to the basket, which is why these shots go in. Smith now with 7 points. The reigning player of the year in the conference from a season ago. Sheldon left open. Theory, offensive rebound, and draws a foul on Maine. Adriana Smith doing a great job staying on balance. She finishes towards the rim. Her shoulders are square to the basket. She can make high-level shots off balance because of how strong she is. While her coach, Amy Vachon, told us she's a warrior, Adriana Smith. She might get her shot blocked 5 times. That does not deter her from taking a 6th shot around the rim. It shouldn't, because you have to have short-term memory when it comes to shooting. You never remember the misses, you only remember the makes. Just like Dory, just keep swimming, just keep shooting. So you had a short memory then? Have to. Did Dad give you a longer leash, or did you have a shorter leash because you were the coach's kid? That was a short leash. Got it. Very short. Less than 2 minutes to go in the opening half, and a 20-point lead for 2-seed Ohio State. Fresh off a run to the Elite Eight
a season ago. And with aspirations of making it to a Final Four, as that bucket rolls in, a left-handed runner by Ann Simon.
Ann Simon has had to work for every single bucket she has gotten, because right now Ohio State is really cutting down that angle on the left side for her.
Smith on the baseline, extra pass. Oh boy, Adriana Smith is down, grabbing her left ankle. And clearly in severe discomfort here. It's hard to believe, given how well Ohio State's played in the second quarter, but Maine led at the first media timeout in this game, 14-11. First time in the tournament for anybody on this Maine roster. Simon, crossover, step back, silky. Shot clock turned off for the Buckeyes. 16-point lead for the 2 seed. Five to go. Celeste Taylor. Back out to Green. That's a three at the buzzer for the Buckeyes. 43-24. Ohio State leads it. And now for today's Star Stories, brought to you by Honda. Sheldon, one of 2 Ohio State Buckeyes in double figures in the first half, scored her 2,000th career point in a Buckeye uniform in the first half. Meanwhile, Maine is still without Adriana Smith. She went down late in the first half with an apparent ankle injury. We will keep you updated on that as Celeste Taylor picks the pocket of Simon to start the second half.
Reads it like a free safety. The eyes of the person with the ball, boom. Celeste Taylor will make you pay. Reading it like a book.
When you win Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC and then in the Big Ten, arguably the best 2 conferences in college basketball, that's saying something. That's exactly what Celeste Taylor has done.
It's certainly not saying nothing by any means.
Here comes Cody McMahon, who had a nice start to the first quarter. Made her presence felt in the paint. Almost picked off by Sarah Talon. Instead, it goes back to Ohio State.
Celeste Taylor reading the eyes, the person passing the ball, then she gets herself in the right position, steals, pick 6. That is textbook how to read the eyes of the passer.
Adriana Smith back into the game, and as you can see, wearing that black wrap around her left ankle. Meanwhile, JC Sheldon continues her offensive display, now 13 points.
It's difficult sometimes to come off and make sure you have the to get the ball into your shooting pocket. Are you kidding me? Ohio State plays so fast. You always have to have your head on the swivel. It's like you're at Wimbledon.
Talon blows it right past McMahon. And they could use more of that, because Maine, early in the game, led 14-11 thanks in large part to 3-point shooting. That has been closed off, and now they're in need of some other ways of scoring the basketball.
Well, one key for Maine is going to be trying to keep Ohio State to one and done, because then Ohio State can't sit up in the press and they don't have to worry about breaking it. And here's the length and athleticism that Ohio State has. Like, Celeste Taylor, are you kidding me right there? It's another superhero move flying out of bounds like Spider-Man.
Simon, stop, starts, left it short. Sheldon left open. And scooped up by Rockwood. It's a Maine team that came into this tournament having won 6 straight, 12 of its last 13. Won the American East regular season and tournament title. Making their first NCAA tournament appearance since 2019. Simon a 3. And a rebound, Talon, who's come out hot to start the second half.
Talon's made 2 huge plays the last few offensive possessions for Maine, keeping the ball alive.
Rockwood hit those early 3 threes, has not scored since. There was 5:30 left in the first quarter. Talon with 2, stripped out of bounds by Taylor, and it'll stay here with 2 on the timer.
Ohio State's done a really good job jumping to the ball and not allowing Maine to face cut them. A lot of times Maine does a good job of face cutting people and getting open layups, but right now Ohio State's jumping to the ball to prevent it.
Like there, Talon forces up a really tough shot, was fouled. And you referenced the quickness of Ohio State and their length. It just seems, Megan, that every time Maine even gets close to touching the ball on a pass, there's a defender there from Ohio State.
And like that, Taylor Theory using her length, she didn't stay completely vertical, so that's why the foul gets called. Ohio State's height, size, and length is completely throwing Maine off. They're getting into passing lanes, they're getting blocks, all the little things. Jumping to the ball on defense, it's not allowing Maine to have that freedom of movement with the ball.
And you played a long time in the Big Ten Conference. How difficult is that? How frustrating is that when you're on the other end?
It's frustrating more than anything because you start to get into your head and worry about turning the ball over. But as a team like Maine, they've got to try to get to the free throw line right now, stop the clock, try to put some points on the board.
Those last 2 free throws by Maine were their first of the game. Ohio State was 11 for 14 from the line in the first half.
Ohio State did a great job being aggressive in the back line of that zone Maine played, so the Buckeyes had layup opportunities. Maine needs to continue trying to get to the line. That starts with getting to the basket, whether that's Ian Simon driving in or somebody else off a back cut. They have to find ways to get to the foul line. And that was a good press break.
Rockwood left open. That's a 3, her 4th of the game. 12 points for Rockwood, double her season average.
Maine did a good job staying under control when they broke that press, sending one back.
Oh, Taylor Theory just using the physicality of the paint.
Taylor Theory's been padding her stats rebounding-wise. She's missed a couple of bunnies early, then boom, goes back up and finishes the play. I like it.
Simon unable to track it down, but neither is Celeste Taylor, so it stays with the Black Bears.
Ohio State hasn't had an answer for Olivia Rockwood scoring transition 3. She gets out, fans out, and makes herself available to her teammates. It's tough to find her in transition. Taylor Theory, you gotta box her out. Nobody puts a body on her. She's in the middle of 4 blue jerseys.
What would your dad, Joe McEwen, say? He's in attendance right now.
He'd call a timeout and yell at me, probably.
You'd be sitting right back next to him, wouldn't you?
And my mom would be shaking her head disappointed.
There is Adriana Smith. Maine likes the side of that after Smith went down at the end of the first half with an apparent ankle injury. Back in the game playing with a wrap on her left ankle.
Adriana Smith is so tough. Going down, she was in a lot of pain in that first half. Coming back, has a brace now on that ankle, and she is still playing with such a high level of physicality.
And they need her. Amy Vachon told us, look, Ann Simon might be our leading scorer, but our offense runs through Adriana Smith.
She makes such great decisions in that forward position. That's a big steal by Ann Simon.
Takes it all the way. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in the America East.
Ohio State's been a little lazy with the ball at times offensively. They're getting too comfortable. They have to make sure the passes stay crisp, ball fake, whatever they have to do to get the zone to move. They have to be crisper.
McMahon goes right into the chest of Smith, counted in the foul.
You can't guard that. Cody McMahon is way too physical. She had way too deep a position, and she is way too focused on that finish. Cody McMahon absolutely playing bully ball down low in the paint against Maine. My goodness.
A lot to unpack for the 2 seed in the tournament, and there's more there, according to Celeste Taylor.
She said it so seriously, too, but with so much ease as well. I was like, okay, well then.
We're here for it.
Don't show this to your opponents. Might scare them.
Well, during that last timeout, Ohio State broke their huddle with a minute before we came back to play. Maine was still in their huddle. That's how much Ohio State is locked in, and they just forced another 10-second violation, the second of the game.
Ohio State is so dangerous because they are more pumped to get a 10-second call than they are to score the ball on offense. Watch everybody move on the flight of the ball. Taylor Theory looks just like she's playing in the secondary in football, head on a swivel. It is so difficult because everybody is constantly moving and using their length in a white jersey.
Cody McMahon just missing out on a three-point play opportunity.
McMahon has done such a good job this season, slowing down her game and playing more under control. Her freshman year, she would drive into the paint so quickly and cause a lot of charges because she'd be out of control. But now McMahon is being more patient, staying balanced down low when she gets the ball.
For the 4th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com for all 90 championships. And this is a good bounce back for Cody McMahon, who struggled against Maryland in the Big Ten tournament loss. Went 3 for 17 shooting. Today, 10 points. And don't forget, later on today, South Carolina puts their undefeated record to the test again in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
South Carolina is the scariest team in this tournament. They have such good balance. Inside, outside, they can shoot the 3 this season. They are so balanced.
It is
That's what
so
makes them scary.
hard, Megan, to repeat as a national champion. But you give them the advantage, right? Because of their balance and their athleticism.
They had an early bounce from the Final Four a season ago, playing with the chip on their shoulder, and they have like they have something to prove. But I tell you what, nobody wants to play South Carolina right now in this tournament.
They were so close last year, and Dawn Staley's team just has played with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, like Ohio State has today. And that's what Kevin McGuff told us coming into this game. We need to get our chip back, and they have.
Celeste Taylor just patiently waiting in the corner, but J.C. Sheldon taking that extra dribble, almost stunting at the defense, forced a blue jersey towards her and gave Celeste Taylor even more room to get the shot off.
And a foul on Tyre Parks. That is her second. Well, the winner of this game will get the winner of Richmond and Duke, which tips later on this afternoon, 2:30 Eastern here in Columbus. A rematch of the season opener on November the 6th in Durham, a game in which Duke routed Richmond. But Kara Lawson said they didn't play that well as Adriana Smith gets the runner to go.
Adriana Smith has hit some insane high-level shots in this game. She is just so strong and balanced.
Ricky Harris. Smith the rebound.
Back-to-back wide-open three-point opportunities for Ohio State because they're staying patient and getting the ball in that high post in the zone.
Simon, tough drive, counted in the foul.
And Simon has had a field day getting downhill on the left side of the floor. This is where she excels. Just a pump fake, gets McMahon up in the air enough. And you see McMahon bring that arm down just a little bit here. You can still move as a defender, not foul, but that contact made with the arm as she tries to stay straight up and down. Nice drive by Simon. It started with that hesitation dribble, though.
You said getting to the free throw line would be imperative for Maine to chip away at this deficit. That's just the 3rd free throw attempt of the game for the Black Bears.
Big for Maine to get to the foul line in a game like this because it stops the clock and lets them put points on the board.
And look who's in the building. The Richmond Spiders, champions of the Atlantic 10 Conference, getting a little scout perhaps, hoping that they will play the winner of this game in the second round on Sunday. Picked off by Ricky Harris. Floater won't go. But a season-high 16 turnovers for the Maine Black Bears. Make it 17 now. Now 18. And this is what Amy Vachon was concerned about. How Ohio State is so good at speeding you up.
Ohio State is excellent at speeding you up, but then dictating the pace of play. They have this insane ability to make you think you have the time and space with the ball, and then when you least expect it, the two players are communicating to come up and trap you. It just keeps you off balance.
Cody McMahon heads to the bench. Honorable mention All-American Emma Shoemate, the second-year transfer from West Virginia, comes into the game for the first time for the Buckeyes.
Emma Shoemate is a sharp shooter.
Parks twirling to the bucket.
She parted that defense like Moses parting the Red Sea, doing a great job getting deep positioning.
Simon does the same thing on the other end. Slicing through the middle and laying it home.
If Maine can hit half court right in the middle, it breaks open Ohio State's press. That needs to be the goal each time they face it.
Rockwood will pull it back out. Maine has hit their last 6 field goals. Make it 7 and the foul for Ann Simon.
Maine has made their last 7 field goals because they are getting high percentage shots. They're driving to the basket, finding ways at the block, but they're breaking the press at a much higher level. Simon finishing with ease. You have to hit the middle of the half court in order to break open this Ohio State press, because it gives you more room on both sides to continue going forward and get into your offense.
Well, if this is the last game for Ann Simon, what a career. 18 points today in her NCAA tournament debut. Led the league in scoring, and for the second time was named Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year.
You gotta make a lot of room on your home trophy shelf for that.
I have a feeling she's making room.
I would imagine.
From Luxembourg.
Speaks 4 different languages, Matt. I can barely speak English sometimes.
Under a minute to go in the third quarter. Tap out from J.C. Sheldon, and Ricky Harris calmly collects for a second opportunity here. Sheldon slicing through the defense and pops.
She gets so much elevation on her little mid-range jumper. Makes it difficult to contest Sheldon as a result. Jumping to the ball prevents that pass.
And Sheldon takes advantage. 22 Ohio State points off of 19 Maine turnovers. Borman left open and picks up a quick 2. Final 8 seconds of the quarter. And Sheldon was fouled by Rockwood, and that is the 3rd on the senior from Windsor, Vermont. Make it her 4th. And so Sheldon will go to the line. Talked about it a little bit earlier in the first half, Megan, but the buzz around Sheldon's pro prospects is real, and you feel like she has a legitimate chance to be a top 10 pick.
Her IQ and her motor make Sheldon very attractive to WNBA scouts. She can play both sides of the ball with ease.
4 seconds for Ann Simon. 2 seconds. the horn and rims it out. And we are headed to the final frame where it has been all J.C. Sheldon. Conference Player of the Year, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, and led the conference this season in scoring, and today has been terrific against the very formidable Ohio State defense.
That was a really cool painting she was holding on senior night, too.
I wonder if she did that. She speaks 4 languages. She's a heck of a basketball player. Maybe she's got a hidden talent that we don't know about.
We'll have to find out. Brother
is a soccer star on the Luxembourg national team. She, 3-year captain of the Luxembourg women's basketball national team.
She was telling us all the languages she speaks, and she said it's Luxembourgian. I didn't know it was pronounced like that.
Here is Simon with a basketball. Today with 18 points to go along with 3 assists, and last touch by Ohio State. She is one of a number of players on this Maine roster from overseas. It's been a concerted effort by Amy Vachon and their staff to find talent in every corner of the globe.
At this level, too, it's hard sometimes to find some of the top talent in the country. They're going to want to go to the mid-majors or the high majors. So credit Coach Vachon for going overseas, finding some really good talent that are going to have long pro careers. And keep in mind, the players overseas are such a valuable get because a lot of those players have been playing against pros since they were 10 years old. So that experience is vital and translates well over to the college level in the States.
Simon catch and shoot, got it. 20 points for Ann Simon. This is a Maine team that has won the regular season 5 out of the last 7 years, but just the first time, Megan, that they've won their conference tournament and getting the automatic bid since 2019. So Ann Simon in her NCAA tournament debut and what could be her final game of her collegiate career.
Oh, she's going out with a bang right now, and she's getting to the left rim with ease at the moment.
Rockwood, yes sir, from downtown, 15 points on 5 made threes.
Just what the doctor ordered for Maine. Get Rockwood open three-point opportunities.
McMahon, no, second effort. Extra pass, Sheldon.
Maine's done a much better job rebounding in the second half and keeping Ohio State to one and done.
Oh, Sheldon knocked to the floor by Caroline Boardman.
Olivia Rockwood is always shot ready. Moving without the ball is huge. Her feet are set, her shoulders are square, so the moment she catches it, all she has to worry about is flicking the wrist.
81% of her career field goal attempts from beyond the arc. And she shoots in the mid to high 30s over the course of her career, the senior from Windsor, Vermont.
Why fix it if it ain't broke?
She was a legend at Windsor Academy. All-time leading scorer for either boys or girls, and the first female player to eclipse 1,000 points in the program's history.
Wide open. It's a good shot for her, though. That's what Maine wants.
Mikolashikova splashes a 3.
Mikolashikova is a stretch 5 for the Buckeyes. She can knock down threes at such a high level. That's what she wants to do more than anything, and it opens up so many things offensively.
Kevin McGuff said the reason Ohio State is able to spread the floor so well offensively is because of Rebecca Mikolashikova. She is the linchpin for their offensive spacing.
And if the teams are playing man-to-man against Ohio State, it draws the big out of the paint, and then Ohio State has room for drivers to get to the rim.
Oh, yeah, downtown. Emma Shoemate getting involved in the action.
The three-point shooting specialist for the Buckeyes comes off the bench, understands her role at a high level, and there have been multiple games in the Big Ten this season where she has come off the bench and gotten Ohio State on a run because of that shooting ability.
Ohio State today 40% from distance on 8 of 20, and they've shot over 50% from the floor as Simon now has 23. Shoemate again. Last touched by Adriana Smith, and back to Ohio State. Megan, we wondered what Ohio State team we would see today. They lost back-to-back games to Iowa to close out the regular season, and then blasted by Maryland in the quarterfinal of the Big Ten tournament. It's the first time all year they've lost back-to-back games. They've answered any questions about this team's mental focus in the postseason today.
Matt, you don't win the Big Ten regular season outright if you don't have the mental toughness and ability to bounce back from losses. Ohio State coming out, making the proper adjustments when Maine had the lead early in this game, and they've not looked back because the intensity defensively has been cranked all the way up, and it's allowed them to get into a really good flow on offense.
And a foul on Celeste Taylor.
The three-point shooting has come alive for the Buckeyes. Rebecca Mikolashikova making herself available and making Maine pay.
Turnover battle. Megan McCune is what both coaches told us would be vital today, and Ohio State has been exceptional in that department.
Ohio State averages nearly 14 turnovers a game, so for them to only have 6 is a huge victory for the Buckeyes, something McGuff's going to love. And on the other end, forcing turnovers is what they've done all season long.
Hard take to the cup by Simon. She'll get 2 shots.
Maine has excelled this season in the half court of getting backdoor cuts. But this game, Ohio State's done a really good job of staying disciplined one-on-one. When players are cutting, the help side's jumping to the ball, or the person guarding the cutter is jumping, and it's not allowing Maine to have open opportunities to back cut at the rim.
Coming up next on ESPN, the NCAA Women's Tournament triple header rolls on with undefeated #1 South Carolina and Presbyterian. Then Rice squares off against Angel Reese and LSU. All games also available on the app. A 2:13 tip for #1 seed South Carolina. Shoemate for 3. Parks, the rebound and the putback for the Michigan State transfer.
Gets that positioning early. As soon as the shot goes up, Parks is on the move, making sure she has an opportunity for the rebound putback.
Taylor to Shoemate and takes it all the way.
Stop the ball is defensive transition rule #1. The person with the ball, you have to stop him. Shoemate gets all the way to the rim.
And more fast break points for this Ohio State team whose pace is so hard to match. 15th in the nation in scoring offense and had one of the best defenses in the country this year.
Ohio State is such a tough team because they've won in different ways. Different players have stepped up. You either have J.C. Sheldon, who can score 20. You have Celeste Taylor, who has that ability. Cody McMahon. They can play inside, out. They can dominate in the paint. so many different ways to win games, and that's why they're a tough matchup for people. They have faced so many different looks and have excelled each time.
Sheldon goes to the bench, presumably for the rest of the game, as does Celeste Taylor. And they will await the winner of Richmond and Duke to see who they will face on Sunday in the second round for a trip to the Sweet 16. And an offensive foul drawn by Ricky Harris, the second charge taken by the senior today.
Ricky Harris has done a great job accepting her role. She was a starter for the Buckeyes in years past. She's now coming off the bench and does everything her team needs, like getting to that side, establishing herself as the primary defender, and taking the contact.
She was all Big Ten honorable mention last year. Started at the point guard position for a team that didn't have one because of all the injuries. And to your point, coming off the bench this season, we asked her, what is it about you that allows you to be able to play so many different spots? She said, guys, I don't care. I just want to play.
And I just want to win. And that's when you know you have a special thing going with the group. When the players don't care about the individual accolades, they just want to win games.
Here is Diana Collins into the game for the first time, running the point for Ohio State. And Simon has just been terrific. 25 points now for the grad from Luxembourg.
She has left it all on the floor. A master at getting to the rim. Her ability to change speed and pace on the go makes her so tough. And she's been able to get to that left side all day long. And you hear the crowd going crazy right now, Matt, for the players on the bench who don't get to play as much coming into the game. It is so cool years from now that these players are going to be able to say, hey, I got to play in an NCAA tournament game. That is special.
Something not a lot of people get to say.
No.
And it's something these Maine Black Bears will always remember. But J.C. Sheldon, who is the subject of today's rewarding performance by Capital One, has bigger aspirations on her mind than just getting back to the NCAA tournament this year. Returned from injury last season, helped this team make it all the way to the Elite Eight. It's the furthest they've gone in 30 years. And this year they have Final Four on their minds. Final minute to go here in Columbus.
1 minute to play.
Buckeyes trailed early in this game, 14-11, gave up 4 threes to start to Maine. Immediate timeout, Kevin McGuff clearly delivering a message that was well received because his team came out of that on a 24-4 run and have not looked back since.
On an absolute tear. I tell you what, Kevin McGuff's halftime speeches, first quarter speeches at the media timeouts have been elite because anytime Ohio State's lacking, they've been able to come out and pick things up, and teams that can adjust on the fly are very scary.
Won the Big Ten Coach of the Year award this season. Meanwhile, on the other sideline, Ann Simon giving hugs and high fives to her teammates. She will finish her collegiate career with 25 points in the NCAA tournament. Pretty special.
Really special, and this Maine team, nothing but a congratulations to the season they've been able to put together, winning the conference tournament, getting to the NCAA tournament. Really amazing accomplishment.
Ann Simon, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Conference Player of the Year, sitting next to her teammate Adriana Smith, who won Conference Player of the Year last year because Simon dealt with so many injuries. A great season for the Maine Black Bears, their first tournament appearance since 2019. and were outright winners of the American East regular season and tournament championship.
That is so difficult to do. One, to win your conference over the course of the year, but two, to win that conference tournament and solidify your chance to dance. Big time season for the Maine Black Bears.
And equally as challenging for Ohio State, Megan, to win an outright Big Ten championship.
With how good the Big Ten was this year.
Incredibly
Are you kidding
good.
me?
Yes.
The parity? Oof.
It was their first since the 09-2010 season for an outright regular season championship. And of course, a big reason why Kevin McGuff won Coach of the Year and his staff have done a terrific job. A 25-5 season for the Buckeyes will continue. They win round one here against the Maine Black Bears and will take on the winners of Richmond and Duke in the second round for a shot at the Sweet 16.